It's finally spring, and today I'm celebrating the end of a very long winter by making 3 types of pretty spring flowers using products I already have on hand. This video is part of a hop with some other crafty ladies, so once you're finished here, there's even more inspiration for you. I started easy with a 1 stencil technique with this abstract wave stencil from Hero Arts. This stencil has a great Art Nouveau feel, and I've used it a couple of times. And when I made this card, I saw crocuses in the pattern. Or is that croci? I don't know. Anyway, I turned the stencil so that it was vertical, and I had my favorite flower colors ready to go, along with some blending brushes. I started with limoncello and I counted so that my colors would be evenly spaced over the card front. Then I moved on to Tiki Torch. I have the stencil on a sticky mat, which does a great job holding the edges down, but because of the fine lines in the wave pattern, I also put pixie spray on the back of it. I moved on to Party Dress, which is a bright pink, and finally Flirty Fuchsia. I thought they might look a little flat like this, so I grabbed some sponge daubers and added a little bit of the next color to the base of each flower. There's a piece of the stencil plastic right there, so I put the dauber on it and then used a light hand and a circular motion to add the shading. Limoncello got Tiki Torch, Tiki got Party Dress got Fuchsia, and then I added Grape Crush to the fuchsia flowers. Next, I wanted to add some green for the leaves in between the flowers, but there was still a lot of ink on the stencil, which would mix with my spring green and give me mud, which is definitely not the spring look I was going for. I grabbed a cloth and I just wiped the ink off each flower, doing all the yellow, then the orange, then pink, and so on, so that I wouldn't contaminate the flowers. I added lime Ricky in between, and now I'm getting the feel of a field of these crocuses. Again, I wanted to add a bit of depth, so I grabbed Aquatini, and I went over the leaves at the base of each flower until the whole panel was done. Isn't this pretty? To add some more interest, I grabbed some scissors and fussy cut along the curved edge of the pattern on the right side. And of course, I still had all that ink on the stencil, so I spritzed it with water and I pressed it onto a panel of white cardstock. This gave me a soft, pretty reverse of the original pattern. To finish this card, I put a strip of black cardstock along the right edge of my card base, and then I adhered the crocus panel on top. I added a paper rose thanks die cut and some Crafty Meraki magic iris gems for some sparkle. For my second card, I grabbed this 9x12 stencil from Joggles called Spring Fling. It has really large daisies. Some of them are maybe even too large for an A2 size card, but this area here has lots of smaller daisies, which are a better proportion. One of the benefits of a larger stencil is you can place it however you want on the panel, and this makes it a really versatile tool. I blended lime Ricky ink through. These areas are going to be in between the daisies, so I'm picturing another field with lots of green leaves and the crisp white daisies standing out. I moved to Aquatini at the bottom of the panel and I blended between the two colors a little bit, but because there's not too much of it showing, you don't have to be that careful. So this flat green aqua background will give the impression of leaves, but I wanted it to be a bit more obvious, so I grabbed a 6x6 stencil from a Colorful Life Designs, lots of leaves, and I taped it down over top of the daisy mask. Then I blended the lime Ricky and Aquatini through that. Layering up the inks like this will give my leaves a tone-on-tone look and also help to smooth out the blend quite a bit. To finish this card, I trimmed the panel and I cut out dots from the daisy centers, which I colored with the limoncello, Tiki Torch, Party Dress, Flirty Fuchsia, and Grape Crush inks, and popped up for some dimension. I added some of the magic iris gems to the centers, and then I added a paper rose hello die cut. Moving on to my favorite spring flower, tulips, I'm going to show you quickly 4 different ways to create tulips using dies. So first, I needed some colored cardstock. I quickly blended my flower colors on one panel and my leaf colors on another. You could use colored cardstock or pattern paper or use any background technique you like to do this part. The first and most obvious way to create die-cut tulips is with the tulip die like this Athena Flora set from Crafty Meraki. The tulip die cuts 5 at a time and the leaves are also bunched together on one die, so it's a really quick way to create a bouquet. These are so pretty and they're quite realistic, and they have cut lines in the leaves and the tulips, so you could actually cut them apart and layer them up for a different look. And the shape of that top layer petal got me thinking about other dies I might have in my stash that could be used to make tulips if you don't have actual tulip dies. I took a quick look and I found 3 options. The first one was these leaf dies from this Altenew Folksy flowers set. Actually, this one has a tulip, so you could use that too if you have it. But back to those leaf dies. I cut 3 pink leaves and 2 in green. The leaves act as the leaves, of course, and then you can layer up the 3 pink and yellow ones to create a tulip with a kind of a folk art look, which I guess makes sense with a folksy flowers set. I also have this geometric builder die from a set from Simon Says Stamp. The nice thing about this one is that it cuts 4 at a time, so it's a little faster than the last one. It also has a narrower shape, so that the flower looks a little skinnier. And it's smaller, so depending on your card design, one of these ideas may be a better option than the other. This geometric petal or leaf die is really versatile, but what if you don't have one? What about a sunflower leaf? This one's from a Jillian Vance design, and it has a chubby rounded look, but it's still that general shape with the 2 points, so let's see how it works. I started by cutting 2 of them from the green panel and 3 from the pink and yellow panel. Hey, you could use just one as a tulip bud or even a rose bud, but I kept going to show you how the 3 petals work together. This is definitely on a whole other scale than those last 2 tulips, but it's pretty. Maybe the leaves aren't quite right though, maybe a little too chubby. No worries, I just cut one of them in half and I think that's much better. Now here's the 4 options for tulips all together. I cut that second leaf in half as well, and I created layered up leaves for the biggest tulip. I like that the leaves now match the layered up flower. Which one do you like best? To finish these, I used circle dies and cummerbund and limericky ink in different combinations depending on the size of the flower arrangement. I added stamped sentiment strips and gems to each one as well. There's a saying here that April showers bring May flowers, and it's still a couple of weeks before I'll see these flowers for real. But it sure was fun using my crafty goodies to create an early garden. Now it's time to hop to the next video. All the links are down below in the description. I know you'll be inspired by what my crafty friends have created for you. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time!